Hi, fifth level. Hope you had a great spring break and are ready for another week of learning online. We're going to talk today about fractions to decimals. If we took the number 1 and we broke it in half, it's half or 0.5. This is the fraction form for half of 1. This is the decimal form for half of 1. So, how can we change from fractions to decimals? Well, it's pretty easy as long as you use division. If you remember that fractions are really a division problem, then we can convert it to a decimal. Here, we're going to set this fraction up as a division problem. The amount that we have, remember a fraction is how many pieces do you have and how many pieces make a whole. Here we have 1 out of 2 pieces, so we have half of the amount. The pieces that we have is always the dividend. It always comes under the divisor, or under the division bar. The denominator is always the divisor. So our problem looks like this. Now, if you take a look, you'll be able to see, hey, I can't do this problem the way it is. That's true. We need to extend this number 1 without changing its value. Hopefully you're all thinking to yourselves, yeah, I know how to do that. I know how to extend this number without changing its value by adding a decimal and a 0. Now you notice that as soon as I put a decimal here, I brought the decimal straight up above. Because if you remember, when we do the decimal slide, there is no sliding because there's not a decimal in the divisor. It's only in the dividend. So our decimal goes straight up. So I was able to determine that 2 does not go into 1, but 2 goes into 10. And it goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, no remainders, so my answer is 0.5. 5/10, just like we saw here. So if you take 1 and you break it into thirds, that's 1 whole broken into 3 parts. 3 parts make a whole. The fraction is 1/3. What would the decimal be?
I'm showing you this, everybody.
So, how do we figure out the decimal for the fraction of 1/3? We can find this using our friendly neighborhood division. Who can tell me if the numerator or the denominator is going to be the dividend under the division bar? If you said the numerator, you are correct. Our denominator is going to be our divisor.
That was good.
I can't do this division problem normally because 3 doesn't go into 1. So I need to extend this. I need to make this larger, a larger number to work with, so that I can actually divide 3 into something. So to extend this 1 without changing the value of 1, I'm going to add my decimal and a 0. That's still a value of 1, but now if I put these two numbers together with my decimal, I can say 3 goes into 10 about 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, I have a remainder of 1. I don't want a remainder of 1, so I'm going to add another 0 so I can bloop, 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 bring that down and continue my problem. 3 goes into 10 about 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Subtract, I have a remainder of 1. Well, let's extend this again, add a 0, so that I can continue it. 3 goes into 10, 3, 9. I'm starting to see a pattern here. My problem is that I can keep extending this problem, and I will be continuing to add 3s for the rest of our lives. And I don't think we want to do that. There's more things to life than adding 3s to a division problem. There's ice cream. There's science projects. There's family picnics. There's all sorts of fun things. So let's end it once we know that this is going to go on forever. And we can end it by typically rounding to the nearest hundredth. We go to the thousandth, and that tells us to round down. This 3 tells this 3 to stay the same. So 1/3 is equal to 0.33, or 33 hundredths. Or when there is a number that repeats, you only have to write the repeating number once and put a line over it. That tells you that the number that's under the line is going to repeat. Now, these aren't truly equal, but they're pretty close. And that's how we can finish or end a never-ending division problem. What if we have a fraction like 75 1/100ths? All right, well, we need to do a division problem. All right, well, I can look at it and see right now 100 does not go into 75. But if I added a 0 here with my decimal, I can say 100 will go into 750 about 7 times. 7 times 100 is 700. Subtract, and I have 50. I don't want a remainder. I want to continue working. I'm going to add a 0 so I can drop the 0 down. 100 goes into 500 5 times. 5 times 100, 500. Subtract, there's no remainder. My decimal is 0.75, or 75 hundredths. What if we have a mixed number? The mixed number represents that we have more than one whole. We actually have 4 wholes. We have 4 wholes and part of a whole. Well, with our decimal, anything to the right of the decimal point is less than a whole. Anything to the left of the decimal is the whole number. I can look at this and pretty much guess. I am going to have 4 point something. I can pretty much guess I will have 4 wholes, point something. Well, how can we figure this out? Our 4s are already established. We need to find the decimal for a 4th. Numerator, denominator, extend it. There's 8. Subtract is 2. I want to continue this. Bloop, bloop, bloop. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. No remainder. I'm done. The 1/4 is written as 0.25. So 4 1/4 as a fraction, as a mixed number, is equal to 4.25, or 4 25/100. I could continue, but then I'm taking away some of the chances to figure things out away from you, so I'm going to direct you to the website www.ixl.com. This website will have some work that Fran is assigning. Please pay attention to the lessons and instructions that you find on the website, along with what you heard today, and work on the ones to find out on the website how well you can do converting fractions to decimals. If you have any questions, 5th level, please feel free to post them on Google Classroom. You can private message Fran or I, and we'll get back with you as soon as we can. Good luck with it, and enjoy this week's work.